Hi, if you're new to my channel, I'm Janetta Johnson. I try to bring encouragement to others to uplift them and help them get through their day. I'm not always the most positive person. I've learned to use positive affirmations and had a lot of encouraging people around me that lift me up. And so I just want to create videos that help others with, everyday struggles too. Because, I struggle with perfectionism. I think I have to be perfect before I can take action and do anything. And the problem with that is, if you wait to be perfect, you do nothing. and that's not the goal. The goal is to get out there and take action and move forward and get things done. But if we wait till we're perfect to do anything, it's a lot harder because that's unattainable. What we think is perfect, you can strive for being your best, but striving for being perfect is an unattainable goal because nobody's perfect. No situation is perfect. Life is complicated. Life is hard. I want to say it's easy, but it isn't. Maybe for some people. Maybe some people think it's easy, but I've always thought life was kind of difficult. There are good days, there are bad days, there are tough days, there are days you don't want to get out of bed. There are days you don't want to deal with life. And so, getting up and being positive and encouraging and helping others to see that there's something to get out of bed for. Because that's the hardest part sometimes, is just having something that gives you the energy to want to get out of bed in the morning, to want to get up and do something more. Life is hard. I get up and I go to a job that I don't necessarily love, but it pays the bills. And I try to do the best job I can when I'm there. But I'd like to have my own business going, but I don't have the courage. I don't have the strength. This stuff is harder than you think it is because I have this fear of talking to people. I've always been really shy. And you can quote me all the Bible scripture you want about 2 Timothy or whatever it is, that God didn't give us a spirit of fear, but of love and sound mind. And I still struggle with shyness. I'm not as shy as I used to be. I've learned to speak up and talk, but I still battle. I still battle that. I still battle shyness. I still battle being afraid to talk to people. I can do this because I'm not seeing you face to face. You're watching me on a video. But if we had to sit down face to face, I'd probably be scared. I'd be like, I don't know, I might not be, but I don't know why talking to people is scary. Maybe it's because I've always been an introvert and not an extrovert. I just find that communicating with people is scary. Maybe because you don't know what the outcome's going to be, if they're going to be positive or if they're going to be negative, depending on what's going on with them. And so the battle's real. For those of us that struggle with shyness and perfectionism and trying to always be perfect all the time. My car's not always perfectly clean. My apartment's not always perfectly clean. I do the best I can, but it's not, I hate dusting. Who likes to dust? So, perfect is a high standard. And there's nothing wrong with having high standards. I totally think one should have high standards. I totally agree with having high standards because that gives you something to shoot for. But delaying action because it's not perfect, I got to do better. And perhaps you do too. Anyway, just being real about what I struggle with. Because I know I'm not alone. I know that there's probably millions of people who are shy. They're afraid to talk to other people. You know, it can start out simple. You could give somebody a compliment. You know, you can say, hi, how's it going? You know, and see how they react, you know. Because oftentimes people are nicer than you think they're going to be. You know, that's been my experience anyway, is when I get up the courage to talk to them, most people are pretty nice. You know, I've had a few bad experiences, but most of the time, people are extremely nice. You know, most of the time you have a positive exchange of conversation. And so, you know, it's just get out there and be courageous and jump off that emotional bridge. Because it's up here in our head whether we can do it or not. I think that the biggest obstacle we have is our own minds. Because your mind says you can do it or your mind says you can't do it. And sometimes we want to do things, but we're like, oh, I can't. Or you think you can, and then you back out at the last minute. No, I can't. I can't do that. I'm too shy. I'm too afraid. You know. Fear is a real battleground that oppresses us and keeps us stuck in the same position, not reaching the goal we set out to reach. I've been trying to reach the same goal for years, and I fight the same battle over and over again. And it's the battle of the mind. It's just getting it through our heads that we can do anything we set out to do. It's just the courage to talk to people. And I know that feels risky, because that's what I fear, is talking to people. I'm scared of the unknown, and that's quite common. And I'm sure that I'm not alone. I'm sure a lot of other women who are trying to build their own businesses and create things are having the same issues of fear of talking to people, shyness, what are people going to think, I'm not perfect, you know. So hopefully I've encouraged somebody's heart that I guess the key to overcoming it is just keep trying. Don't give up. Get out there and what I think I'm going to try to do is journal about what I'm struggling with. I think that would help, you know, because once you get clear about it, then maybe you can clear the problem. So we'll see if that works. Anyway, if you enjoyed my video, go ahead and subscribe to my channel for more content on positive, inspiring things. Talk to you later.